Hello and welcome to my latest video on my top 1000 countdown. On this video we're going numbers 920 down to 911, adding 10 more fighters in. Okay, so 2 videos including this one till the first 100's completed. Then we'll jump on to some more career videos. So fighter number 920, okay, is a fighter called Kohei Kono. Now Kohei Kono defeated 3 world champions. He fought 88 rounds against champions and he beat no Hall of Fame fighters, Kohei Kono, and he also fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Now against rated fighters, Kono had 12 fights overall. He scored 14 knockouts in his career, 4 of them in 3 rounds or less, and he scored 1 first round win. Now Kohei Kono was top 10 rated for a total of 7 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 8 fights. Now Kono was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. He did have 1 fight against pound for pounder, but scored no wins in the pound for pound categories. An opposition fought rate for Kohei Kono is 2 from 18 and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So fights against champions for Kono, he had 9 fights against champions, including 3 wins, 6 losses, no draws and 2 KOs. He has no fights against Hall of Famers, of course. And in title fights, he eats double figures with 10 world title fights. That includes 4 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, with 3 title defences. So on to fighter number 919, it is Razor Ruddock. Now Razor Ruddock, okay, beat 4 world champions. He fought 56 rounds against champions, and Ruddock beat no Hall of Fame fighters. He did fight 21 rounds against Hall of Famers, and Ruddock had 12 fights against rated fighters in his career. Now he scored a total of 30 knockouts, okay, 15 of them were in 3 rounds or less, and Ruddock also scored 8 first round wins. Now as a rated fighter, he was rated for a total of 5 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 16 fights in total. Razor Ruddock also was never pound for pound ranked in my all-time rankings, but he did have 3 fights against pound for pounders, but scored no wins over the 3 pound for pound categories, and his opposition fought rate is 2 from 18 and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So fights against champions, okay, Ruddock had 8 fights against champions with a split record of 4 wins, 4 loss, no draw and 3 KOs. He has 3 fights against Hall of Famers, all 3 of them are defeats, and interestingly never had a proper full world title fight. So on to fighter number 918, okay, is former cruiserweight champion Robert Daniels. Now Robert Daniels beat 1 world champion, he fought 36 rounds against champions, and Robert Daniels beat 1 Hall of Fame fighter. He fought 12 rounds against Hall of Famers overall, and Robert Daniels had a total of 8 fights against rated opposition. Now in terms of KOs, Daniels, okay, scored 41 knockouts. Big shout out to Haplo in the chat, good to see you, buddy. From those 41 KOs, Daniels scored 22 inside 3 rounds and 8 in the first round. Now he was top 10 rated as a fighter, okay, for 7 years, and Robert Daniels had a longest unbeaten run of 18 fights. He also was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings, and Daniels had 1 fight against a pound for pound fighter. Now he did score 1 win against that pound for pounder and also scored 1 win against pound for pound top 3 fighters, but 0 wins against pound for pound number 1 fighters. Obviously those 3 stats there will grow as the playlist grows. Some fighters will score silly numbers in there, as we go forward. Now Robert Daniels' opposition rate is 2 from 18 and the opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So we had 3 fights against champions, okay, with a fully split record, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw, with 0 KOs. Robert Daniels did have 1 fight against a Hall of Famer. That was a win, but on points, so no KOs. And he had a total of 4 world title fights, including 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 2 title defences. So a cruiserweight champion who very rarely ever gets remembered. So on to our next fighter, okay, it's down to flyweight, okay, with the UK's Charlie Magri. Now Charlie Magri, okay, defeated 4 world champions in his career. He fought a total of 54 rounds against champions, and Magri beat no Hall of Fame fighters and he fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Now throughout his career he had 7 fights against rated opposition, and Charlie Magri had 23 knockouts in total in his career, 19 inside 3 rounds or less and 5 in the first round. Now Now, Charlie Magri was also top 10 rated as a fighter throughout his career for a period of 4 years. The longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 23 fights, and he was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. Now, Charlie Magri had 2 fights against pound for pound fighters. He scored 1 win against pound for pounders overall, but he scored 0 wins against pound for pound top 3 or pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. His opposition fought rate is 1 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So on to the record against champions. Charlie Magri had a total of 7. Okay, that includes 4 wins, 3 losses, no draw with 1 KO. He has no fights against Hall of Famers, of course, and he has 2 title fights. That includes 1 win, 1 loss, no draws, and 0 title defences. So there's Charlie Magri in 917. When we go to fight number 916, it is another former cruiserweight champion, Jeff Lampkin. So Jeff Lampkin, okay, beat 3 world champions. He fought 44 rounds against champions, and he beat no Hall of Famers. He also fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Now, against rated fighters, he has one of the higher totals of this lower echelon I'm covering at the moment, with 16 fights against rated opposition. Jeff Lampkin scored 34 knockouts, 18 of them in 3 rounds or less. He also scored 9 first round wins. Now, being a rated fighter, he was rated for a period of 2 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 16 fights. Now, Jeff Lampkin, like many fighters down at this level, was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. He did have 2 fights against pound for pounders overall, scoring 1 win against pound for pounders, but he scored 0 wins against pound for pound top 3 or number 1 rated fighters. And Jeff Lampkin's opposition fought rate is 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So Jeff Lampkin had 7 fights against champions. Okay, that includes 3 wins, 4 losses, no draws, with 3 KOs. He has 0 fights against Hall of Famers, and in title fights he has 2 world title fights, unbeaten albeit in a short title career. So he has 2 wins, no loss, no draw, whilst making 1 title defence. So there's Jeff Lampkin in 916. When we go to fight number 915 is Kermit Cintrone. Now, Kermit Cintrone, okay, beat 1 world champion. He fought 54 rounds against champions, and Cintrone beat no Hall of Fame fighters, and he fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. That could change over time, like all the fighters from the more recent era. They can get Hall of Famers added later. That I do update each year when the Hall of Fame editions come out. So Kermit Cintrone had 11 fights against rated fighters. Okay, he scored a total of 30 knockouts, 16 in 3 rounds or less, and 7 in the first round. Now, Cintrone was top 10 rated for a period of 6 years in his career, and the longest unbeaten run he had was an unbeaten run of 24 fights. Now, he also was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. He did have 5 fights against pound for pound fighters, but scored no wins in the 3 pound for pound categories, and his opposition fought rate is 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So Kermit Cintrone had 6 fights against champions. That includes 1 win, 4 loss, 1 draw, with 0 KOs. Cintrone had no fights against Hall of Famers at the moment, and he did have 6 world title fights, splitting his record into 3 wins, 3 losses, no draws, and 2 title defences. So from 915 we go to fight at 914, okay, to another format. It's a cruiserweight top 10. Yesterday the video was the fighters rated 7 years. Now it's a bit of a cruiserweight theme with Robert Daniels, Jeff Lampkin, and now of course O'Neal Bell. Now O'Neal Bell beat 3 world champions. He fought 61 rounds against champions, and Bell beat no Hall of Fame fighters, also fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Bell did have 11 fights against rated opponents throughout his career, and he scored a total of 25 knockouts, 14 knockouts in 3 rounds or less, and he also scored 4 KOs in the first round. Now O'Neal Bell was a fairly consistent top 10 rated cruiserweight. He was top 10 rated for a period of 8 years. His longest unbeaten run was one of 26 fights, and he was never pound for pound rated. Now O'Neal Bell did have 1 fight against pound for pounder, but he scored no wins in the 3 pound for pound categories, and his opposition fought rate, okay, is 1 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So, O'Neil Bell, he had 6 fights against champions, including 4 wins, 2 losses, no draws, and 4 KOs. He has 0 fights against Hall of Famers, and in title fights, O'Neil Bell had 4 in total, scoring 3 wins with 1 loss, no draw, and 2 title defences. So, onward and upward, 3 fighters to go. Let us jump first to fighter 913, okay, it is a fighter called Eloy Rojas. Now, Eloy Rojas, okay, defeated 3 world champions. He fought 67 rounds against champions. And Eloy Rojas, again, like many fighters down at this level, he beat no Hall of Fame fighters. He also had no fights against Hall of Famers. Now, Eloy Rojas did have 9 fights against rated opposition throughout his career, and he scored a total of 28 knockouts, 15 of them in 3 rounds or less, and Rojas scored 8 first round wins. Now, he was top 10 rated as a fighter for 4 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 22 fights. Now, Eloy Rojas was pound for pound rated for 0 years, and he had 0 fights against pound for pound fighters, thus scores no wins in the 3 pound for pound win categories. His opposition fought rate is 1 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So Eloy Rojas had 6 fights against champions. That includes 4 wins, 2 loss, no draw, with 1 KO. He has 0 fights against Hall of Famers, and in world title fights, nearly hitting double digits with respectable 9 world title fights. Eloy Rojas scored 7 wins with 2 losses, no draws. Eloy Rojas also made 6 title defences. So, fighter 912, okay, is the UK's Herbie Hyde. Okay, Herbie Hyde beat 3 world champions. He fought 19 rounds against champions. And Herbie Hyde beat no Hall of Fame fighters. He did fight 2 Hall of Famers, got manhandled by both of them. One of them a bit quicker than the other, but still beaten fairly easily and well by both. Now, Herbie Hyde had 6 fights against rated fighters. He scored 43 knockouts in his career. Herbie Hyde scored 29 knockouts in 3 rounds or less, and he also scored 14 first round wins. Now, Herbie Hyde was top 10 rated for 1 year. The longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 26 fights, but he was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. Now, Herbie Hyde had 2 fights against pound for pound fighters, and he scored 0 wins in the 3 pound for pound categories. Now, Herbie Hyde opposition fought rate is 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 2 from 13. So Herbie Hyde had 5 fights against champions. That includes 3 wins, 2 losses, no draws, with 3 KOs. He had 2 fights against Hall of Famers, as I mentioned earlier, suffering 2 defeats. And he had a total of 6 world title fights, including 4 wins, 2 loss, no draw, and 2 title defences. He also had that famous brawl. Where was it? In BBC Television Centre Garden with Michael Bent. Bare knuckle brawl in Garden. I think back and remember watching that. There were outrage at there was scandal, brawling, all this, yeah. But yeah, him and Michael Bent started some insults, and next thing you know, punches are flying and the wrestling and rummaging about. Yeah, one of those instances, a bit like a Hage's Horror incident, minus the he glassed me. Right, so on to fighter number 911. Okay, we're going back in time to a fighter called Al Kaufman. Now, former contender Al Kaufman beat 2 world champions. He fought 53 rounds against champions. And Kaufman beat 1 Hall of Fame fighter. He fought 39 rounds against Hall of Famers overall. Al Kaufman, as pre-rating era, had no fights against rated fighters. He would have had quite a number of them, but sadly with no ratings. I'm very factual, so it's 0. He scored 16 KOs. Okay, he scored 6 KOs in 3 rounds or less. He also scored 5 first round wins. Now, again, pre-rating era, Al Kaufman was never top 10 rated, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 14 fights. Now, Al Kaufman was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. He did have 5 fights against pound for pound fighters, scoring 3 wins against pound for pounders. He also scored 2 wins against pound for pound top 3 rated fighters, but 0 wins against pound for pound number 1 fighters. Al Kaufman's opposition fought rate is 2 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is 1 from 13. So Al Kaufman had 5 fights against champions. That includes 3 wins, 2 losses, no draws, and 1 KO. He had 4 fights against Hall of Famers, including 2 wins, 2 loss, no draw, and 0 KOs. And he had 1 world title fight that was a defeat. So there's my latest 10 fighters. Okay, we have one video to go, going 910 to 901. Then I will start getting the next batch of 10 ready. And while I'm getting them ready, back to the career videos, okay, to start getting more fighters on the playlist. We've got Ketchel and Walcott. I've opened light heavyweight with Jack O'Brien. Heavyweight, of course, is well running. So over that period, in amidst the heavyweights I'm doing, I'll also open middleweight and welterweight with Ketchel and Walcott. And just continue. Then when the next 10 videos of this are ready, jump back on and do the next 10. Okay, that's how I'm working it this year. So through the year, the top 1,000 will build. But anyway, okay, big shout out to Haplo again in the chat, my buddy. Hope he's well. Hope he's all good in Trumpland. Crazy stuff going on at minute, but, So someone said to me, oh, everything's going crazy. I mean, I'm like, tell me a period in this planet when humans aren't being crazy, or when crazy stuff ain't been going on. Tell me 100-year period when humans were commonsensical, down to earth, did justifiable actions, acted responsibly. You'll be looking for a long time because it doesn't exist. Find one 10-year period. It doesn't exist. So anyway, there's my latest video. I'm Boxing Librarian. I'm out for now.